They're dead, Dave.
What, Captain Hollister?
Everybody's dead, Dave.
What, Todd Hunter? What, Selby? Not Jen.
He's dead, Dave. Everybody is dead. Everybody is dead, Dave.
Hello, welcome to Everybody is Dead, Dave, the Red Dwarf review podcast with a special episode this week where we're not reviewing anything.
No, yeah, for the first time. For the first time,
we're not reviewing anything. What we are doing instead is because we've now reached the end of the original BBC era of Red Dwarf in our rewatch.
Yes.
And Adam's first watch, in fact, because if you're new to the podcast, Adam, my co-presenter here, has never watched Red Dwarf up until he started watching it for this podcast.
Absolutely.
And I have been watching for 30 years. I am Phil, by the way. I didn't introduce myself. Good start. So what we're doing now is we're going to rank every episode that we've watched so far as part of this podcast. All of the main episodes. We're not including Identity Within, which is the kind of it's just a storyboard with a narration on top of it. So we're not counting that. It's not a fair playing field to include that, I think. But every other episode that we've got up to, so for everything from Series 1 to the end of Series 8, we are including and we're ranking here. Now, we, of course, went through and gave at the end of every episode, we give each episode we've watched a score out of, we actually, in the for the first series, we only gave it out of 5.
Yes, we did, didn't we?
But then we switched it to out of 10. So what I've done for the out of 5 ones is I've just doubled the score to get the equivalent out of 10.
Makes sense.
Sense. So we compiled our lists, not referring back to that. Yeah. And we're going to see how different it is from those scores. Now, obviously, the scoring list isn't a simple like 52 to first place because there's lots of things that were like we might have given 5 episodes 8 out of 10 or whatever, so they were all in the same place. Yeah. But it gives us a rough idea. There's some interesting things we can talk about with those and compare to our actual lists. Now, do you know what your lowest score you gave anything was? Can you remember?
Off the top of my head, I think. Do you want me to say the episode as well that I think it was, or
if you want to, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to remember myself. I know I gave Body Swap, I think, was the first really low one I gave at the time, but I don't think it's I want to say maybe it's Crikey TV. I think I gave that maybe a 4, but I'm not sure. But I've got a feeling that may be my lowest rated one.
It is your lowest rated one.
Oh, okay.
You gave it a 3 out of 10.
Oh, even worse. Oh, dear.
So your lowest rated one is 3 out of 10. My lowest rated one, based on the ratings we give at the end of the episodes, was 5 out of 10. So not quite as bad as yours. You then have a 4.5, one 4.5, and one 5.5 before we then start getting to where there's multiples of scores.
Oh, okay.
And I've got 1 5. I've got 2 sort of tied at the bottom there with 5 out of 10. But yeah, will they be the same? So we're gonna go. We got 52 episodes to rank. Let us know at home. Go to the pod. If you're listening to the podcast version of this, go to the YouTube version. It's on my YouTube channel, Philip Hawkins. So you can comment below and give us your ranking. Let us know what order you'd put these in. Give us the full 52 list if you want to. Right, should we get started?
Oh, let's do it. We've got 52 to pace through, so let's do it.
52nd place. What is your 52nd place?
I mean, if you're a regular listener, I don't think this will come as a great shock, but it's Crikey TV. I must admit, we were saying before we started recording, these lists took both of us a fair amount of time I think more time than we anticipated to properly compile together. But for me, the bottom end was always the first few you'll hear, they were always very straightforward, and it's just not a strong episode, really, is it? Well, I don't think it is. I think we were all in agreement there.
Yeah, it's my lowest rated one as well. I've got it at 52, and it matches up with our scores. You gave it, as we already said, a 3 out of 10, and I gave it a 5 out of 10. But yeah, it's both of our least liked episodes.
It was mainly the humor, wasn't it? Like we just thought it was very overly juvenile and not very Red Dwarf,
and
really.
it's very cringy in a lot of it.
Yeah.
The whole stuff with Crichton.
Yeah.
No, thank you. No, thank you. What you're saying about it's kind of easy to get the ones at the bottom. It's also kind of easy to get the ones right at the top. It's the middle area where you're like, but is that better? Like, I was constantly rearranging when I was compiling my list, the middle ones, and going, oh, maybe that is better than that one. Or maybe.
Yeah, especially when you've got stories where you're my memory at least of some of the plots is a bit vaguer. So then I'm like, oh, but is that the one where this happened? Or was that, and do you know what I mean? But yeah, you'll hear, dear listener, as we go, you'll hear.
Yeah.
You'll probably go, why have you put that there?
We've been doing this podcast now for over a year. So it's hard to remember back to those early days. And
yeah, looking at all the series 1 synopsis, I was like, wait, did I watch this? But it did all come back to me, I think.
Exactly. Okay, so what have you got in 51st place?
51st, I have Body Swap. Again,
same.
Thankfully, not as over Crikey TV because the humor from what I remember wasn't that overly juvenile, very cringy sort of stuff, but I just don't remember it being a very good episode full stop, which was a shame because that's the 4th episode of series 3, and I think on the whole, from memory, we rated series 3 quite highly, a lot of the other episodes, so this one it just felt like an outlier, and it hasn't aged well in my mind, so 51 for me is Body Swap. But what about you, Phil?
Ditto, also Body Swap. I gave Body Swap a 5 out of 10, which is also what I gave Crikey TV at the time. So they're kind of equal, but for very different reasons. They're both low for completely different. I think you alluded to it there. It's more the style of humor with Crikey TV. Body Swap was just kind of a little bit dull.
Yeah, I think especially with a lot of the other series 3 episodes, and we'll come to them when we get to them. But it just feels like the outlier. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In terms of like the quality or how much I enjoyed it, it was the black sheep of series 3.
Yeah, and I remember it lacked a lot of energy because it was one of the ones which didn't have a studio audience because of the technical aspects of it and swapping the voices. They couldn't have the studio audience, and that really showed with the actors. So
absolutely.
So yeah, there's that. Okay, so what about 50? What's in your 50th place?
Sorry to any fans of this particular series, but I'm giving 50 to Pete Part 2. Because it's one of the more recent ones we've watched, but the problem with Pete Part 2, and I guess by extension Pete Part 1, is just it either needed to be an extended one-parter, maybe like 45 minutes, or the story should have been told in a different way. I think we said that too much was spent on showing off Pete, as a dinosaur, showing the effects, rather than arguably the more interesting story that was going on at the time. So, and it again, in hindsight, I've had time to think about it. By the end of Series 8, a lot of it for me feels like, not the ideas have ran out, but it feels like the creativity sort of trailing a bit. Because obviously they had the big gap between Series 6 and 7. Start of Series 7 for me, it feels really fresh with creativity. They've had that time off. They know the stories they want to tell. But then by Series 8, everything just, especially with Pete, it just sort of feels like they're trying to do the 2-part thing to reinvigorate, I don't know, like a creative spark. But it just feels like, for the most part, it's plodding along a bit. So Pete Part 2 for me, sadly.
Yep. Well, this is the one you gave 5 out of 10 to. So far, you are matching you gave in scores. And I stress again, we did not consult. We didn't look back on what we scored things before we compiled our list.
Yes.
But so far, you are matching how they've come out in your scores.
I guarantee you, listener, it will not stay that way. I guarantee it. But what about you, Phil? Are you going for a hat trick in dittoing, or?
No. This is where we diverge. My 50 is Duck Soup from Series 7. Series 7, Episode 4.
Yes.
Which was, I think, a rushed episode. It was to replace Identity Within. Where they kind of, I think the script felt a bit rushed. It was just not a particularly... It just wasn't a particularly great episode.
No.
I didn't enjoy it, but there we go. And where did I put that? I put that. Yeah, that kind of matches where I put it. It's one of my 6 out of 10s that I put.
Okay.
I have a bunch of 6 out of 10s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I've got 4 6 out of 10s, so it's in that bunch there in the next. So it's in roughly the right place.
Yeah.
Based on what I gave it. What about 49?
Duck Soup. 49. It kind of made sense to me to put it here. It's Pete Part 1. Because,
okay.
It is. You could argue Part 1 could be a lot stronger than Part 2. You see that a lot in like serialized stuff. But for me, I don't know, it just felt on that same level. So, yeah, not much more to say than I said for Part 2, really. Just I feel the story should have just been organized in a different way, whether that was running time or the focus of the plot. So, yeah, Pete Part 1. Sorry, Series 8 fans. Pete Part 1 for me. I can't... Did I give it a bit higher than Pete Part 2?
I think you did.
I don't think by much, unless I'm mistaken. In case you can't... From my own memory, I think I rated it maybe 1 point higher than Pete Part 2, but then that would have only made it a 6, so yeah.
Here's me thinking I'd compiled every episode we had and all the scores, and I seem to have missed Pete Part 1 off of there. But never mind. I will trust you on that and say
that's what my gut's saying. I think, and that's
so
why
probably
I think
gave it 6.
Yeah, I think that's why it's 1 place higher, because I think I slightly enjoyed Part 1 more. But yeah, just not a strong one for me. So yeah, Pete Part 1. What about your 49, Phil?
My 49 is Back in the Red Part 2. Which are out of that trilogy of episodes, which the Pete Part 1, 2, and 3, not Pete, Back in the Red Part 1, 2, and 3, the kicked off the Series 8. I wildly felt different about each of the parts, and this was the middle part for me was the weakest. I didn't like it.
That's fair enough.
Whereas I really liked Part 1, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Where did I put it? That's the question. Where did I put Pete Part? No, I keep on calling it Pete. Back in the Red Part 3. No, Back in the Red Part 2. Here we go. Part 2. So I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Nice.
So a bit. There's a lot on it on the list which is lower in terms of ranking, in terms of ratings I gave it, but there's stuff that I've put higher up on this ranking that got less score. But that's going to happen in this thing.
Yeah. No, it is, absolutely.
What did you get for what's in your 48th place?
My 48th place is one you've already mentioned. It's Duck Soup. Similar reasons. Rush job. I know there was production issues, but I think sadly it just shows. It's a very obvious tell compared to a lot of other Red Dwarf episodes. And even though the cast are good and there is some nice scenes, I think that was the one where there's that lovely chat between Kachansky and Lister about where Kachansky fools him into thinking Lister from her dimension was gay.
Yes.
I think it's that episode. So there were moments I liked, but yeah, on the whole, especially because I like a lot of Series 7. Again, I guess sort of like Body Swap, Duck Soup just sort of feels like the outlier. So that's why it's number 48.
You gave that a 6 out of 10 as well, so that's roughly the right place.
We're sticking to form.
Sticking to form. My 48 is Pete Part 2. So and I did enjoy it less than, obviously it's less further down Pete Part 1, but I do actually have things in between on my ranking, so there'll be things that fit in between. What about 47 then?
47. I've given it to Time Slides from Series 3.
Yeah.
Series 3, Episode 5. I vaguely remembered this one when I was compiling it. I must admit, I did have to reread one of the synopses just to make sure I was getting the right episode. But it's the one where old photographs, where they come alive and they can jump into the photographs and stuff.
Yeah, that's the one.
And yeah, I mean, a neat concept, but I'm trying to judge it from, in my opinion, if I can't remember an episode strongly, now after a year, then I think that, in my mind, that does tell me something about what I must have enjoyed of it at the time. So it's a nice concept, but I don't think it was one of those overly memorable ones, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's why it's down here.
That's
but
fair
now
enough.
I bet you're going to tell me I gave it a really good score.
Well, I mean, it depends what you view as a good score. You gave it 8 out of 10, so it's kind of...
Oh, okay.
It seems like you're maybe now putting it a bit lower than the score that you gave it reflected
I think
at the time.
of what's to come. Yeah, I think I've put it quite low, but I stand by it. I think I stand by it.
I think especially with those earlier seasons, looking back at the scores I gave them, I think I was possibly being too generous, given some of the, like, just comparative to later episodes. I think I was looking at it, and well, yeah, but that's not as high. That I think I prefer this episode later on, which I ranked lower, which I gave a lower score to than this one. So
Yeah.
it those things happen. It's the way it is.
It does. It does.
My 47 is actually backwards from series 3, the first episode of series 3.
Oh, interesting. Why
No,
backwards?
I just remember this disappointing me. And actually, similar to you here, I gave this not a bad score. I gave it an 8 out of 10. But I just remember it not being that funny. And I think said at the time that it was because it relies a lot on visual humor. And
yes.
I think with visual humor, once you see the joke too many times, it stops being funny. So possibly for a first watch, that like for yourself, it might have been more funny potentially. But
it'll be interesting to see where we go with that. Obviously, with the whole, it's different perspectives, isn't it? You've seen it several times, whereas for me, it was my very first time. So.
Yeah, and ironically, you gave it a worse score than me, but I've put it lower down on my list. So
a sign of things to come, I think.
There we go.
Oh my!
What have you put in 46th place?
46 is Back in the Red Part 2. I absolutely agreed with you what you said. It's the worst part of the 3. I think there's no point trying to mince words about. And middle parts of a trilogy always they have that challenge, don't they? Because they don't start the story or end it. Their job is just to keep it going. And because Red Dwarf, I think, it feels so individual every episode. That's what they'd done for all that time. Because this was the first true 3-parter, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it feels like they're trying, but it doesn't gel well with how we know the show, if that makes sense. So Back in the Red Part 2, unfortunately, is number 46.
Yeah, you gave it a 7 out of 10 in the original scoring.
Yeah,
which
I
is,
wonder if that was the weakest I gave. Oh, obviously, don't reveal it. Yeah, I'm just wondering if that was the weakest I gave of the trilogy. I can't remember.
Okay, I won't reveal it. If you want me to. We can hold that back.
And your 46.
My 46 is Waiting for God.
Oh, from series 1.
Yeah, which was mostly because I think I didn't remember it very well because I gave it quite a high score, I think.
That's the one where they learn a bit more about cats, like cat as a species, don't they?
Yes, and it sets up for an episode you haven't seen yet, but the more recent special, The Promised Land. It has a lot of stuff for that. Yeah, I gave it original. Well, this was back when we were doing out of 5s, and I gave it a 4.5 out of 5, which is which I suppose is like a 9 out of 10.
I was going to say in our new system.
Why is it so low on my list now? Mostly because it didn't spring to mind any memories other than the scene where Lister finds the old cat that's dying with Cat, and
and
that's kind of all I can remember about the episode. So, I mean, I obviously did enjoy it at the time if I gave it a 4.5. The problem is with this doubling up the out of 5 scores. It's not quite as reflective as
I suppose not.
Maybe if I was ranking that out of 10 naturally, I would have given it an 8 or an 8.5 or something. Yeah, but you've got less to work with an out of 5. But yeah, so that's the first kind of real big surprise on my list, I think.
Interesting.
What have you got in 45th place?
45th. This one's also a Series 1 choice. This is Future Echoes, the second ever episode. And I know they love referencing it in Series 7 and 8. You play a drinking game, the amount of times they say the words Future Echoes. But I just remember after the first episode was so, obviously, this was my second ever Red Dwarf episode. And considering how much the very first one sort of got me interested in the concept, the characters, the world building, if you like, I just in hindsight, the second one feels like a bit of a step down from all that. And I think they explained the concept fairly well for a sci-fi comedy show, but I just think it just doesn't click with me now. So that's my number 45.
Yeah, you gave it a 3 out of 5 at the time, which I suppose is the equivalent of 6 out of 10. Roughly.
Yeah, I'd stand by that.
Yeah, I think I gave it about the same. So, it's kind of...
It's not bad. It just compared to the very first episode, it just feels, as I say, to me, it just feels like a step down in many areas. But again, that's just what I remember. But what about you, Phil? Your 45th place?
This is where I put Pete Part 1, which was definitely better than the first parts. The second part, even. Sorry. There was just more interesting, and like it hadn't got too repetitive. Like the whole going to the captain's office was interesting at this point, but by the time they kept doing it in the second part, I know it was the gimmick of the episode, but it just it's still not a great episode, to be honest, but it's definitely better than part 2.
Had a bit of a better setup, I think.
Definitely, yeah. I didn't give it much more in terms of points. I gave it 0.5 more, so I gave Pete Part 2 a 6 and Pete Part 1 a 6.5. So there's not a massive amount, but there's a little bit there.
A little bit.
What about 44th place?
44. I feel so. Series 8 fans are just going to hate on me. It's Cassandra, Series 8, Episode 4. Okay. Again, obviously reflected in the ranking. This is one of, I think, the better... I mean, it's standalone to start with, and I think I've already said, I think Red Dwarf works possibly at its best when it's doing standalone stuff. The main thing I remember, it's so bad that I remember from this, is we both thought that Cassandra was Zoe Wanamaker. Because of, like, the voice, and turns out it wasn't, so that was a big reveal. But I did like the scene, she has the conversation with Rimmer and Lister saying about how they're going to, one of them's going to die and all. I like the nature of that scene. But I don't remember that much else. Do you know what I mean? Like, she was the gimmick, but beyond that one scene, I don't remember too much about this episode, which I think reflects on it because we only watched that a couple of weeks ago. And if I can't remember details that fully, then I think that's a bit of a sign.
Yeah, it's one thing not remembering a Series 1 episode very well from a year and a bit
ago.
But...
Yeah. Yeah, but a few weeks ago, it's like, come on now. But yeah, so that's my 44.
Okay, then my 44 was Balance of Power from Series 1. Series 1, Episode 3. Which, honestly, I can't remember that much about.
Is that the one where Lister wants to get Kachansky as the hologram,
I think so,
but then he's arguing with
hiding, and then at one point Rimmer uses the image of it like appears as Kachansky and pretends to be Kachansky. I think it's that one.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's fair. So that's just you can't remember too much about it.
I can't remember too much about it. I think looking at what I gave it a 4 out of 5, so equivalent of an 8 out of 10, which is not that bad. So maybe. Yeah,
decent.
Maybe it's got a bit of a slide in my estimations since then, but that might just be because I can't remember massive amounts about it.
Oh, that's fair.
I did look at the synopsises of all of these when I was making the list to try and help me work out where to put them. But even then, some synopsises are very slim on the ground on information, and I didn't want to didn't want to go into reading like a scene by scene breakdown.
An essay.
Yes,
exactly. Absolutely.
What about 43rd?
43rd is Aurora Boreas from Series 7. Ouroboros. Is it?
I don't know.
Bless her.
I think
when we had Sophie, bless her, as a guest, I think she said it right, and I for whatever reason I just couldn't get it right. I think because it sounds like Aurora Borealis, so naturally I go Aurora Boreas, but it might be Ouroboros
or Ouroboros.
Oh, stop.
Ouroboros.
The one where we find out about Lister's origins.
Yes.
Basically, that one. But I also like this one in a way because this is, I think, the episode where we get the dimension tear, where we get Chloe Arnett as Kachansky.
Yeah.
When she appears. And, after seeing the series, I've warmed to a character a lot more now, having seen Series 7 and 8. I know I was a bit, not hostile, but I don't think I took to her straight away when we were going through Series 7. But in hindsight, I thought thinking back on how she was introduced, I thought it was a nice setup for that new team dynamic. And obviously the Lister family thing is memorable because of what it is. And was that the episode where we learn about the loophole that we always like to bring up? That
look, Kachansky is technically Lister's mum.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it that?
Oh,
yeah.
that's it.
And remembering that's a good thing, bad thing. I'll leave that up to debate. But yeah, but also aside from those key points, I don't remember it being that overtly strong, especially compared to some of the stuff that series. So yeah, that's my 43.
You gave that a 7 out of 10.
Okay,
along with
all right.
you gave quite a lot of 7 out of 10. I think you gave 11 different episodes 7 out of 10 so far.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's amongst that lot.
Makes sense. And you're 43?
My 43rd is Back in the Red Part 3.
Oh, right, okay.
Which I, as you might guess from this placing, enjoyed more than the second part, but not as much as the first part. Because the first part is obviously higher.
Well, I wonder how far part 1 is above this one. That's what I'm curious to know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It was okay. It was like I said, I really liked the first part. The second part, the third part was just kind of okay. I gave it a 7 out of 10 originally, which again, not a bad score, but then we're quite generous with our scorings most of the time.
I think we both, correct me if I think we both said at the time, maybe Back in the Red should have been 2 parts instead of 3.
Yeah.
I've got a vague idea that cut the middle one out and then just have 1 and 3, but as 1 and I think that's what we said.
I think that was a theme with the multi-parters of Series 8 was that Back in the Red should have been a 2-parter, Pete should have been a 1-parter.
Yeah, like 1 extended, yeah.
Yeah.
But alas.
Yeah, never mind.
Never mind.
What 42nd? What's your 42nd?
42nd, the answer to life itself, is the Inquisitor from Series 5.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I put this up because I remember this is where, they have a really cool entrance, the Inquisitor, like they're very threatening, very menacing, and then once it's revealed either they get revealed quite quickly or the rest of the episode they didn't feel like much of a threat. I do remember thinking that at the this Inquisitor character. And again, just going off memory, besides that character, I don't really remember too many other immediate things of this episode. So that's why it's down here. Yeah, that was the thing I remember most. It's sort of being a letdown, this Inquisitor character, after that first scene where they're introduced.
Well, you gave it a 7.5 out of 10 originally.
Okay. All right.
Along with a handful of others. I think there's about 6 episodes you gave 7.5. Yeah.
Lovely.
So, 7.5 for that one. My 42nd place is Beyond a Joke, Series 7, Episode 6. And it's the one where sort of Crichton's getting jealous, his head explodes at one point. He goes to blow them up in AR in a Jane Austen scenario thing.
Oh, yeah.
That one. that one. Yeah, that one. The one with the tank.
Yeah.
So that's what I've got at 42. Where did I put it originally? Let's have a look. Yeah, see, that was that was a lot lower than this placing would place it in terms of scores. I gave it a 6.5. So I've got the 5s, which were Body Swap and Cry to TV. I gave 6s to about 4 of them. And then I gave 2 episodes 6.5, Pete Part 1 and Beyond a Joke.
Okay. So this roughly fits then.
Yeah.
This far down, yeah.
41st?
41st. It's my first Series 2 episode on the list. It's Stasis Leak, Series 2, Episode 4. Yeah, again, I remember bits of this. This is the one where, because of the leak, isn't it, Lister finds his way back into Red Dwarf before it blows up,
yes.
I think?
Yeah.
Because I remember he arrives in the showers, doesn't he, or something like that. And
that's right. And you got the cat doing the "what is it" joke, which I really didn't like because it just went on too long.
That old chestnut. But it's beyond that. I don't remember it being one from Series 2 I particularly raved about. I mean, you might prove me wrong. But I just remember it being one of the weaker ones of that series. So, yeah, that's my 41st, Stasis Leak.
Yeah, well, you gave it a 7 out of 10 originally.
All right,
so
okay.
There are episodes which you have given a lower score to, which you haven't mentioned yet. There are, let's see, 8 episodes which you haven't yet mentioned, which you did give a lower score to. And a load that you gave the same score to because it's in that 7 out of 10 category.
Well, let's hope that those 8 are coming up fairly swiftly. What about your 41st?
My 41st is Only the Good. The last episode we reviewed.
The last episode, yeah.
The last episode of Series 8.
What? Why so far down?
It wasn't bad. It's terrible. I can't remember.
It wasn't bad, but
it wasn't bad. But it was the last episode that we
good.
recorded a review of, and I can't remember much about it. So that doesn't bode well.
I remember the ending quite well.
Yeah, I remember the ending quite well. I think there was lots of really contrived like moments.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Like, oh yes, suddenly they have a machine.
The mirror
that can take them
dimension
into
thing.
a mirror dimension, and like, what's going on?
We've got to finish the series.
It just didn't make much sense, and not in a fun way.
No.
In a kind of like, you're just writing D6 Machinas, D6 Machinas,
left, right, and center. Yeah.
But so that's that.
Poor Series 8. We're railing on Series 8 at the minute.
It does get a lot of bad press, and we've got quite a lot of them covered already in the lower part of this list.
We
haven't
have.
we?
I think I've still got. Looking where we are. How many have I got left? I've got. There's 3 I've got left.
Okay,
Series 8.
3 out of 8.
Yeah.
I think I might have a couple more than you, possibly. Oh. Yeah. There we go. Series 8
am I
not
now
doing
feeding
well
in?
so far.
Am I feeding into the Red Dwarf fan stereotype now, being like Series 8's not that good? But
yeah,
from what? Because that's
possibly.
all I heard for a year. That's all I heard for a year.
Maybe we subconsciously influenced you.
Maybe. But so what are we on now? 40.
40, yeah.
40th. This one is Waiting for God.
Okay.
From Series 1. I did remember this for, like you said, getting the cat lore, which I actually found quite interesting. And it's a shame that I know you say it comes in the Promised Land, but that was Series 1. That was 1988, so the lore isn't really touched on again for another like 30 plus years. And I just think it just made the reason why it's probably further down. It just made me sad for Danny John Jules' character. Do you know what I mean? Because we've said so many times he's relegated to being like the one line punch guy or cringy jokes or stuff like that, and Waiting for God I think gave that early character stuff early on, and then it's just forgotten, so that's why it's far down, really. Well,
this is another one where you actually gave it a worse score than me when we gave the scores, but you've put it higher than me in the ranking, so you gave it a 4 out of 5, therefore giving it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Whereas I gave it a 4.5, therefore equivalent of a 9. So, yeah, never mind where we're swapped around on that one.
Yeah, and your 40th?
My 40 is Meltdown from Series 4, which is the one with the waxwork.
Yes, I remember Meltdown very well.
Yeah, that one, I think we're now into the kind of more middle ground of the list where they're not bad. I mean, to be honest, the only ones that are really bad, I think, I would go to say these are bad episodes. Are kind of my bottom 3.
I think we've covered them.
Yeah, or 4. We're now into the kind of like, they're fine.
They're all right.
They're all right.
But there's better out there.
Yeah, exactly. Where did I originally put this? Let's have a look. Oh, actually, I gave it a really high score.
Do you know what? When you said Meltdown, I thought, hang on. I thought,
yeah.
What did you give it?
I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, Phil, and it's down at 40.
Yeah, I gave it a 9 out of 10. Wow. So it's one of my better scores.
There you go. Well, at least you got the 9 out of 10.
That.
Yeah, at least you hit the 9 out of 10 thing down here first. So
I won't say what. Can you remember what your highest score was? We won't say what they were.
I want to say I gave a 9.5 once, but I couldn't.
You did.
Tell.
You gave one 9.5.
Have I one? I know I gave a few 9s, I think, but yeah.
I was a bit more loose with my 9.5s. I gave 5 9.5s.
And none of them have been mentioned yet?
None of them have been. No, I haven't. Okay. I know. None of them have been mentioned yet.
Well, hey, after you said a 9, nothing's safe now.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? I think I just didn't remember it that well.
That's fair enough. As you're saying, I mean, Series 4, that's at least 6 months ago when we record, if not longer.
Yeah.
When we recorded that.
Yeah. What's your 39th place then?
39, it's Justice from Series 4.
Okay.
I know we saw a joke, Adam hates Justice because of the speech at the end. And I do. I don't like that. I think we both didn't. This Lister's random, very like preachy, serious speech that just seemingly... And then they drop him in a hole because, why not? I do. I remember liking some, when they're doing like the trial setup in this episode, because it's all about that, isn't it? I remember liking those sequences when they're all coming forward to like give their testimony. But outside of that, my first thought is always that bloody speech at the end, and just how stupid it is, and how out of nowhere it is, and then I can't remember much else around it. So this was my second draft. Originally, this was lower. Like a fair bit lower.
Well, I expected it to be lower because based on your scores, it would be a lot lower. It was a 6
What did I give it?
You gave it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
And you've given, like I said, 4 or 5, was it? 4 episodes, 6 out of 10. And then you've only got 3 episodes below those in terms of score. So
yeah,
it was I was expecting it to be a bit lower, but no, you've redeemed
it was
it
lower.
A little bit.
It was, yeah, because I think when I made my first draft, it was just like that speech at the end. But then I remembered the trial stuff, which I did like. I remember liking that, so I was like, okay, I've got to be a bit fairer now. So yeah, that's my 39 Justice. And yours, Phil?
My 39 is Time Slides, which you've already mentioned.
Yes,
from series 3. So it was but there was some good stuff in there. I found the jokes about going in and taking Hitler's briefcase quite funny, and
a classic.
Yeah, it was, and I love a time travel story, timey-wimey stuff. But it was just kind of middling, I think. So that's my 30. Where did I put that? Maybe I gave that a really high score originally as well. Who knows? Let's see. I gave it an 8 out of 10, so that's quite a high score, I suppose.
Yeah, that's fairly high.
But at least it's not a 9.
At least it's not a 9.
There we go. What about 38th?
38th. I gave it to Sirens, the opener for Series 6. Truth be told, Phil, I remembered virtually nothing about this from the title. But then I looked at the synopsis, and it's where they go to the SSS Esperanto, and Red Dwarf's missing. The start of them really trying to find Red Dwarf, or they find the Vapor Trail. That's it. They find the Vapor Trail. And the Sirens are creatures. They lure the ship's crew onto the asteroids and suck out their brains. But even after getting that little spark, I just don't remember really digging this one that much. I don't think. So yeah, that's my 38, Sirens.
Yeah, this was at the end of a series, or was it at the beginning?
It was Series 6, Episode 1.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, when they just lost Red Dwarf. Yeah.
Yes.
Where did you put that? You gave that quite a high score. You gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
Oh, God.
So,
well, I mean, again, I couldn't remember anything on the title alone. I was like, this is really bad. Normally with titles, I'm not too bad, but this was one of there's a few on this list, but this was one where I was like, I'm drawing a blank. I got nothing.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
and it's one thing to give a score in the moment when you've just finished watching an episode, but like
of course,
how the episode, when you're comparing it to other episodes later, makes you feel.
And how it sits in your head as well over time.
Can be different. Yeah.
Yeah. What about your 38th?
My 38th is Epidemic. Series Epidemi. I
was going to say Epidemic. Yeah. Epidemi.
Epidemi. Series 7, Episode 7 with the talking virus.
Yes, who sounds like a game show host.
He does. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Yeah, that's Epidemi.
Yeah. We're into that kind of middling category now where they're all okay. So
they're just all right.
I did really like the DJ sounding virus. He sounded cool and I liked him. But I think I gave it an 8 out of 10 originally. So
strong.
Yeah, not too
fair
bad.
Enough. 37 now. 37's my lucky number. Shame it's for this list because it's quite low down. I'm following you. I've given it to Epidemi, 37. Yeah, I like bits of it. The game show host stick was fun for about a minute, I think. And then after a while, I was like, all right, I'm a little bit tired of all the pop culture references now. And yeah, I just think there's an episode that immediately follows this, Nanaki, I believe, that it's not technically a two-parter by name, but it does, I believe they do lead into each other, if I've remembered right.
Yes, they do, because it's because Lister loses his arm at the end of this one, and then they use the nanobots to rebuild it.
That's
leading into the stuff. In
Yeah,
there.
and that's a case where if you want to call it a two-parter, I found part 2 better than part 1. So yeah, 37's Epidemic for me.
Excellent. Well, you gave that a 7 out of 10 originally, so you gave it a slightly lower
that
score than
checks
I
out.
did, but it's roughly in the right place in the list, I guess. For 37 for me, I gave Nanarchy. No.
No way! Oh,
yeah.
Right above Epidemic, yeah.
Right above it, yeah. So it is better than that episode, I think. Like you say, it was just as a two-parter, they work quite well together. But yeah, it was an interesting end to that series as well, I thought. And finding Red Dwarf was so exciting, and we saw Holly again.
It was, and that was it. Holly coming back. Yeah,
Holly coming back and going, all right, dudes. It was great. Really,
that's definitely one of your favorite moments of Red Dwarf period, I think, isn't it?
I think
Holly
it is. I just got so excited when Holly came back. And they so underused him then in Series 8. It was criminal.
Did, which is a crime, really, yeah.
Crime.
Norman Lovett back, man. But, Phil, I can't believe this has happened not midway, but not at the top of the bottom of the list. My 36th is Nanarchy.
Nice.
Because I from what I remember, Epidemic and Nanarchy, whilst I did enjoy Nanarchy more, I think both of them, to my memory, felt on like a similar plane throughout, if you get me. Nanarchy just had those more exciting elements, like you said, Holly coming back, Red Dwarf. But yeah, on the whole, better than Epidemic, but not by like several places above, just directly above.
Yeah.
Yes, that's my 36. Did I give Nanarchy higher than what I gave Epidemic? A 7, did I?
Yeah, you gave Epidemic a 7. Yeah, you gave Nanarchy an 8. So you did give it higher.
That checks out. Then.
A whole point.
That checks out. A whole point.
My
your
36th
yeah,
is Me Too or Me Squared or however you want to say it.
Oh yes,
Series 1, episode 6, the series finale where you get 2 Rimmers.
Yes.
And I enjoyed 2 Rimmers. It was interesting seeing him play. I think I remember having a slight question about, well, why are they... One seems a lot harsher than the other and is more of a bully to the other one. They're not like kind of equally pitting against each other. One is like the more dominant one. So why would that be if they're the same personality? I don't know.
Out.
But yeah, I put that there. What did I give that originally? Okay, that's actually quite a lot lower down on my list though. When it comes to the scoring, it's one of the 7 out of 10s that I gave.
All right, 7 out of 10s, yeah.
But that's quite a lower. That's sort of the lower quarter really of my list is the 7 out of 10s. So yeah, it's gotten higher up in my estimation since then, I guess. What's your 35th?
My 35th is Back in the Red Part 3. Yeah, because I've had Part 2 on my list, and you audiences now tell. I've followed the same order as you, where I think Part 2 is the weakest, Part 3 is second, then Part 1 is somewhere on this list, but you'll have to wait and find out where. But yeah, it was a decent conclusion. I think sort of finishes up setting the status quo for this series. You know, being in the tank and your recurring characters like Captain Hollister again. And beyond that, I don't remember a great deal much more about it that was like mega standout. But I remember enjoying it. Compared to Part 2. So yeah, that's my 35th, Back in the Red Part 3. Did I rate that higher than Part 2?
No.
No?
No, you actually rated Back in the Red Part 2 at 7.5. Whereas you rated Back in the Red Part 3 at 7.
Oh, okay then. Oh, well, you know what? I'll stand by what I've said now, but, you know... That's that, and like you say, it's that when you're going back in hindsight. But yeah, I remember maybe it was very specific things, but from what I remember finding Part 3 more entertaining on the whole, say, than Part 2.
Yeah,
when I
can't remember if that was one of the times when we had maybe a couple of weeks between recording episodes. But I've had in the past where I've known that I like an episode more than a previous episode, maybe even the very previous. Like we had a month-long break where we didn't record any episodes. And I remember thinking, well, I know I like this episode more than that last one. But I can't actually remember what I scored the last one. So I just gave one a score, and for all I know, I gave it less than the one I said I liked it more than. But these things happen.
It does indeed. And your 35th?
is Crichton from Series 2, our introduction to the character, but played by a different actor, which...
Yes. Is that what
me.
pushed it far down for you?
I think so. I mean, he did a great... It's not that he didn't do a great job, it's just that I'm so used to Robert Llewellyn as Crichton that it was just so weird seeing the other guy, whose name now escapes me, doing it. It was a bit strange, but there was some really... I loved the moment where... because Rimmer has asked Lister to big him up to the ladies that are going to be on this ship, and he's like, "Oh yeah, have you met my mate Ace? He's really, really brave."
Yeah, that is a good. And I always remember Crichton for the android sequence.
Yes, yeah. So that's good. That's good.
34th, it is Beyond a Joke.
Okay.
Yeah, I did like
quite a lot higher than I put it.
Yes, where was that for you? So that was my 34.
That was my 42nd.
Oh,
so good, 8
fair
places
way
ahead.
down. Yeah, I think out of all these Series 7 ones where Crichton's a bit jealous of Kachansky and all that, from memory, my score originally might disprove it, but I feel this was the one where it was done the best and most effective, that jealousy angle, before it started getting a bit, tedious and a bit samey. And we get Abel in that episode, don't we?
Oh, yes, we do. Yeah, the other android.
And I remember I think I enjoyed Abel, or I found some of those scenes funny, I think.
Yeah.
I hope.
You actually gave this one quite a low score. 6 out of 10, you gave it.
This was a 6 out of 10 one,
This was a 6 out of 10, so it's kind of in the sort of bottom sort of 8 of your scores.
Well, we're not past halfway yet, so I can still technically say it's in the bottom half, so
yes.
I'm excused. Once we get above 26, then we've got a problem. But so that's my 34, Beyond a Joke. And yours, Phil? 34?
Mine is Blue from Series 7.
From Series 7, yes.
Yeah, and it's the one where Lister is feeling very sad about the fact that Rimmer isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And I think going into this, before we watched it, my memory of watching it the first time round, like in the 90s and stuff, was that mainly, and even when I watched it on DVD 10 years ago or whatever, it was the song at the end, which I still absolutely love.
The Rimmer World song.
World, yeah, the kind of Arnold, that one, absolutely brilliant. Love that song. It's the highlight of the episode. Absolutely. The rest of it was kind of a bit of a disappointment, and not that it was bad, it was just not as good as I remembered it being, which is a bit of a shame.
Hey, the benefit of hindsight and how nostalgia can blind us.
Yeah, exactly. How I remembered it was mainly based on that last one. I mean, it's one of my 7 out of 10s that I gave, which again, 7 out of 10 isn't a bad score.
It's not at all.
Just there's some that are higher. What have you got in 33rd place?
33rd. Don't worry, Series 8 fans, the torch is nearly over. It's only the good. I did, and I said this when we recorded it. I really did like the ending. I really like that. Well, almost. I like the setup where when Rimmer is in that world, and when he comes back and the ship's blowing up and everything's going wrong. You still get some good comedy, with the vending machine throwing cans at him and all that sort of stuff. I just wish it had ended. I think we talked about this. I would have liked it if it had maybe ended on a more somber note, which it was never going to do because it's a sci-fi comedy show. But I don't know, when we had the Grim Reaper and it was like, oh, maybe he will go off with the Grim Reaper and that would be it, if they cut there. In my mind, that would be strangely quite nice as an ending. Obviously, what we get is he just sort of knees him in the private area and says, "No, thanks, mate. Only the good die young." Funny, but no. But I did like bits of this. But like we said before, too many Deus Ex Machinas. Too much. Oh God, we've actually have to finish this series. We've got 10 minutes. Let's do this. So yeah, that's why it's so far down here.
Well, it's you gave it a 6.5 originally.
Yeah, that checks out.
And it's one of 4 you gave a 6.5 to None of the others you've yet put on the list.
Oh no! Oh god! And we're
and
approaching halfway.
There are quite a few episodes which you gave a higher score to that have already come on your list.
Gone. Oh well.
There we go.
What can I say? And your 33rd?
My 33rd is Justice from Series 4, which you've already mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah, that's random speech at the end. Actually, I would have expected this to be a lot lower on my list because based on the score I gave it, it was really low. It was 6 out of 10. So for me, that's really low. And there's only like five that have 6 out of 10. And there's only 2 5 out of 10s below it. So yeah, I'm surprised it's not lower on my list, but I clearly remembered some good things from it too.
Sure, yeah.
What you got in 32nd?
I have Thanks for the Memory from Series 2. The irony being that the plot line, it says, the crew wake up after celebrating the anniversary of Rimmer's death only to find 4 whole days have passed where they have no memories of, because I don't have any memory of this episode either. So I found this very ironic. So
it's the one I remember. It's the one where they they find the black box and then it reveals what happened, and they like drop a paving slab on the foot, and that's why he's got a broken foot. And things like that. Yeah.
And this is, I think, one of 2 or 3 episodes I had to go further than the synopsis to remind myself what this actually was about. I know now my memory's a bit more jogged. There were moments like how they go about, doing all that stuff, like getting to the memories and stuff, how it came to be. But aside from that, like you said, it's just one of those that I remember it was like, all right. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't awful, but
yeah.
And now you're going to tell me I gave it a 9 out of 10, aren't you?
Well,
or
first of all,
like
I will say that my 32 is also Thanks for the Memory.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. What are the odds of that, hey?
How have we done that, hey?
I mean, yeah, we've got the same bottom 2, but the chances of something in the middle being exactly the same place.
Crazy.
But we did give it wildly different scores originally. You gave it a 6.5, so quite low.
Oh, thank God. So my vague memory does check out then. That's fair.
This is more embarrassing for me because I gave it a 9.
Oh, Phil. Did you not remember it as well, or could you remember it quite clearly?
I could remember it, but clearly I liked it more than I remember liking it. But there we go. I mean, this is the one where I had put in a little... I'd said on the episode, as I said my score, that it was my favourite episode so far. And,
oh, boy.
And it's only like...
it's
not even halfway down the list. So, there we go.
That's a turn up for the books.
Yeah. Well, my memory of other episodes is clearly better, but there we go. What have you got in 31st?
31st is Terraform from Series 5. This is, again, I had to read the synopsis for this, where they land on the Simoon, but then Rimmer is alone, gets taken prisoner, and then they rescue him, but he's trapped in an environment shaped by Rimmer's bizarre self-loathing mind, it says in the synopsis. I remember bits of this, but again, like my memory, to be honest, Phil, out of all of them, even when I was like jogging my memory with like clips and stuff, I was like, I can't concretely remember what I thought of this. So I sort of opted to put it just below the halfway point because that felt about right. But yeah, don't really remember much about this one, I've got to be honest.
Sorry, what episode was it again?
This was Terraform, Series 5, Episode 3.
You gave it fairly low, 7 out of 10. All right. I say low. It's middling.
Low
you gave
for
it
us.
middling. And it is in the middle. So that seems about right.
Yeah, just one of those okay ones.
In 31st, I gave it to Sirens, the first episode of Series 6, Episode 1, which you'd put lower than this. I think there was some good stuff in there. I liked the creature that would, disguise itself as like the gross out humor when Lister was kissing it, thinking he was kissing a beautiful woman, and it was this slimy, disgusting creature which was trying to suck out its brains. That was amusing.
Yes.
I did
getting
like
flashbacks now.
And I gave it quite a high score originally. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. So yeah, maybe it's a little bit low compared to my score I gave it even, but
so we're on 30th now, are we?
Yes.
30th for me is Camille, Series 4, Episode 1. I do remember. Now I can't remember what, but there was elements of this we found a bit tricky, if I remember rightly, and I can't remember what.
No, I can't either.
It was something to do with the, because Camille herself is what is she? She's
she's Gelf, but not the same
Yes.
type of Gelf that Lister ends up marrying. Different type of Gelf, genetically engineered life form that looks like the perfect person for each individual person.
Yes.
So it looks like another android to
to like Lister and
Brighton
Rimmer and stuff. Yeah.
and
there were parts I liked about it, and the ending, of course, parodies the ending to Casablanca, which is Lister's favourite film. I remembered that, but no, again, this just falls into that category for me of it was all right. I enjoyed it, but I think there's better. So 30th is Camille.
You gave it a 9 out of 10 originally.
Oh God!
So you obviously thought highly of it there.
Well, it must have slipped from my. As I say, I remember parts of it, but there are other episodes on this list that I do enjoy more.
Yeah.
So I stand by it.
I gave position 30 to DNA from series 4.
The episode right after Camille, funnily enough.
Indeed, it is. Yeah. Indeed. Which I originally gave an 8 out of 10. So it's sort of maybe a bit higher than this based on scores. But it was a good episode. Some good stuff in it.
There was.
Pretty good.
It is.
29.
Demons and Angels from Series 5.
Yes.
Demons and Angels, yeah. This one, The Triplicator, makes duplicates and stuff. This is the one with Red Dwarf there's more copies of Red Dwarf, one that's the good quality one and the one that has the bad quality one. And I loved seeing the actors do those different extremes of their characters, the good shit where they were all like angelic and stuff like that, calling each other brother and all that sort of stuff, and then the demonic ones were quite the opposite. So I think I enjoyed that one most for the acting, just because we've said before we love seeing the mains act either as like exaggerated versions of themselves or different characters entirely. So I enjoyed Demons and Angels. I think hopefully my score will reflect that.
I think it's roughly in sort of middle place on the scores as well. As 8 out of 10 you gave it. That
checks out.
That kind of checks out, I suppose. I gave this position to Terraform Series 5 Episode 3. Which you've mentioned a few places ago.
I did.
I like this one. It was a good episode for Rimmer, as I recall, I think.
Yes, it was.
Good episode for him. And I gave it an 8.5 originally, so possibly even based on scores a little bit higher than here, but still pretty good.
Right.
28.
Balance of Power. Series 1, Episode 3.
So that's one I put really low, wasn't it?
It is. So that's my yours was. It was in the first. Was it first 5, first 10 for you? I think.
Yeah. Let me look. Yeah, it was. 40. I put it at 44th place out of 52.
Wow, so 16 gap. I think I enjoy it because a lot of Series 1 for me, obviously being a newbie first time round, Series 1 does build up a lot of this world. I get it has to. Any show, comedy, drama has to set up the world. And, it focuses on the hologram, the system there, how only one can be active at any one time. You get a bit about Kachansky as well. We start learning a bit more about her. This is the first episode, bar the first one, that I think you really see Lister and Rimmer's relationship, or like as characters more. Because obviously the whole premise is like that they're arguing, which is what they're good at, really. So I think being a newbie, maybe like you say, if I was in your shoes, if I'd watched this for the 10th time, it probably would be lower. But I think being as it was my first go, I actually quite enjoyed it. So Balance of Power is my number 28.
You originally gave it, because it's a Series 1 episode, in our out of 5 scale of 3.5. So I guess that's the equivalent of a 7 out of 10.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Fair
enough. Maybe even probably about the right sort of.
Not the right
sort
one.
Of placing.
Yeah. And your 28th?
My 28th is Ouroboros. Ouroboros, whatever it is.
The Lister Mum paradox loophole.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one.
I liked this one. Sounds like a little bit more than you did. I kind of liked the whole setup of the paradox of him being his own father and Kachansky being his mother. It only gets creepy in later episodes when he's still hitting on her.
Yes, which
And
we always will mention whenever it
yes.
happens, because fair enough.
What about 27th?
We don't worry, listener. We can now, for me at least, we can now close the book on Series 8. A bit for me because it's back in the red, Part 1. Definitely the strongest episode of Series 8 for me. I think it just sets up it starts setting up this whole thing really well. Obviously, it starts with them already being in the tank, and then obviously we go back. But I just think it feels like a change in direction for the show, but a welcome one. Like it's a different sort of set scene. And not much more than that. I just think it's the best episode of Series 8, personally.
Yeah, you gave this an 8.5 out of 10, so quite a high score. And there's quite a few episodes which we haven't got to yet on your list that you did give a lower score to.
I feel confident in saying that, you don't have to check, but I think that is the highest of Series 8 I gave, I think. For Back in the Red
That's
Part
a good
1.
question. Yeah, I think it probably was.
I'm certain it is. I'm almost certain it is.
Yeah, I can't see anything higher.
When I was going through Series 8 for this ranking, Back in the Red Part 1, I knew straight away was going to, out of those 8 episodes, it was going to be the top one. So yeah, 27 is just under halfway is the highest Series 8 getting on this list. So
is that the first series you've now got everyone on the list?
It is, yeah. That's Series 8 done for me. Just under halfway as well. So sorry, Series 8 fans, they're all in the bottom.
I guess that does make your least liked Series 8.
In fandom terms, that means I hate Series 8 in inverted commas.
Yes.
But I don't. And your 27th film?
My 27th is Camille.
Okay, so not too much higher than where I placed it then.
No, not at all. It was a good episode. I put it originally 8 out of 10. So
okay, solid score. Sound. Well, we're going into the top half now of the list. This is number 26. So yeah, top half of the list. My 26th, I can't say that properly. My 26th is Me Too from Series 1. You've already mentioned it. I like the stuff with the two rimmers personally. I know you were saying about one's wildly different to the other. I didn't mind that as much from when I remembered it. I thought it was a fun little way to end Series 1 at a time when they're not really doing a story arc as such. It was just another self-contained adventure, and yeah, I remember quite liking it.
You originally gave this a 4 out of 5, so 8 out of 10.
That's an 8 out. There you go. That checks out. And your first one of the top half of this list?
In 26th place for me is Confidence and Paranoia from Series 1, Episode 5.
The episode directly before Me Too.
Yes, indeed, it is. Yeah, I did really like the characters of both Confidence and Paranoia that were in this episode and the whole setup of Lister getting the virus and made things appear. I gave it a 4 out of 5, so therefore a 8 out of 10. Originally. So I think maybe it's even a little bit lower here than my score that I gave it would indicate, but I'm happy to
sticking by it. Well, number 25 for me is Parallel Universe, the Series 2, Episode 6, last episode there. I thought this one was quite fun. Obviously, this is, I think, one of the first times we see... Oh, no, it's not the same actors, but they meet female versions of themselves. Lister ends up sleeping with his version because, of course. And Rimmer sort of falls in love a little bit, or like admires his female version and stuff like that. The gripe I had with this was the ending, because it's where Lister gives birth to twins, as predicted all the way back in Future Echoes, I think. But then I think it's not as high as it could have been, because obviously then that whole twins thing doesn't really go, as we said, it doesn't go anywhere. Series 3, Episode 1 infamously opens with the Star Wars crawl that zips by the screen because they basically don't care. So yeah, and I know we joke about that and it's a comedy, but yeah, maybe had the ending been followed up in Series 3, Parallel Universe might have been higher because they're setting that up. But as is, I'm happy leaving it at 25th.
Well, this is an interesting.
Don't tell me this is the 9.5.
This was your 9.5. This was your highest rated episode ever.
No
on the
way.
Podcast. You've never given a 9.5 to anything else.
This one
you gave 9.5 to. I wonder if it's because obviously you didn't know what was to come when you gave it that 9.5, and like you just said,
yes.
If it had gone on to develop that and do something with that twin storyline, you might have given this higher. But in hindsight, Maybe that spoiled it by 25 places for you.
Yes, it'd be number 1, number 25. Ouch.
That's quite a demotion.
Hey, at least it's in the top half. But yeah, that is a demotion. But yeah, I think you're right, though. It's that being a newbie and then it realizing it doesn't go anywhere sort of didn't bum me out. I was just a bit gutted. I wanted to see where it went. But yeah, I'll stay. My 9.5. Wow, I can't believe that. I genuinely can't believe that.
This is why I really was interested to do it this way and compile our list without looking back at our scores and then compare them on here as we recorded it, because it's really interesting seeing what the difference is. My 25th is The Last Day from Series 3. The last episode of Series 3, in fact, where Crichton is recalled by his manufacturer because he's an outdated unit and is going to be replaced. So he has one last day and they have a big party and lots of fun happens. I gave this an 8 out of 10 originally, so it's kind of in the right sort of place.
Well, my 24th, Phil, coincidentally enough, is The Last Day.
So one place higher than I put it. One
place higher. Yeah, but same reasons for you. I enjoyed it. I like the concept. I thought the comedy was good when the replacement droid eventually comes in looking for... I thought that was really cool as well. I seem to remember really loving that whole sequence, where they he's trying to chase him down and stuff like that. And it just was a nice end for Series 3, which for the most part had a really strong run of episodes, bar body swap.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So
you gave this a 9 out of 10 originally, so you obviously really liked it at the time. And
still 24th though. That's
well, I mean, it's one of 10 episodes you gave 9 out of 10 to. So it,
cool.
plus your 9.5 for Parallel Universe. This is, this even on the scoring, this would be this could be an 11th place thing. So you're not that far off of it, really.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And your 24th?
My 24th is Holoship, the first episode of Series 5.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, where Rimmer goes over and finds a whole ship full of holograms. It has that brilliant scene where one of the crew of the Holoship comes aboard Red Dwarf, and you get Lister and he's just reporting back on them without acknowledging that they're there, really. And then you get Lister going, Lister to Red Dwarf. We're in our presence of a complete and utter smeghead. One of my favourite lines of the show, I think.
That whole episode was really strong, I remember.
Yeah, I gave it an 8.5
I remember that one quite vividly.
Originally, so
that definitely checks out then.
Yeah. What's your 23rd?
My 23rd's DNA.
Okay.
Which you had a few places down. I just like the fact they all got turned into weird and wacky, wonderful things. And the curry monster, of course. I had a soft spot for the curry monster. I thought that was quite cute. I just thought this one was just really fun. Not the best episode ever, but I hope my score reflects it. I just remember having a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, you gave it 7 out of 10 originally.
Oh.
Which, is
higher than me 9.5, which I'm going to hold now. But no, just when I was looking back, rereading the synopsis and then remembering the episode in my head, I just remember having a ton of fun with it. So maybe I didn't initially, but I do now.
Yeah. So my 23rd is Tika to Ride, first episode of Series 7.
Okay. Yeah.
Which I remember thinking was good. And a kind of a good sci-fi drama, but there wasn't as much comedy in it.
Yes.
And it was, like I say, it was good sci-fi drama, but it didn't quite have enough comedy for my liking. So that's why it's here. Originally I gave it 7.5 out of 10 originally. So yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Middle, sort of the road.
Middle-ish.
Yeah.
So 22nd, I gave to Legion from Series 6. I quite like this concept. A minute I read the title, I remember the Legion robot, I remember finding quite creepy in its design, in a good way. It was a really cool, creepy design. And just all the stuff they get onto on that ship and how... Because it always had that soft voice, didn't it? It was very soft-spoken, but it was very powerful. I really dug that. So, yeah, I think it deserves to be... There's a lot better than it, but I remember quite liking it.
Yeah, this was another one of your 7 out of 10 sort of grouping ones. So
okay, all right.
Maybe a little bit lower because I think so. Yeah, 7 out.
Maybe the concept I enjoyed, of that robot and what it could do. I like that.
Yeah.
I really like that. Maybe the comedy elements weren't as good, but no, I'm happy putting it at 22nd.
Cool.
And And yours?
My 22nd is Back in the Red Part 1.
Is this your last Series 8?
It's not. There is a Series 8
Oh.
one I like better.
Oh, hang
than
on.
This. According to
I won't
this,
say.
this-
I think
you think
I
you
know what
worked
it is.
out.
But yes,
But I don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
if I actually scored it better than that one. Let's see. Back in the Red Part 1, what did I give that? See, I gave Back in the Red Part 1 a 9 out of 10, and I don't think I
Did
gave
you?
the one that I've put higher than it that high. No, I didn't. So I gave that one an 8 out of 10. So they've switched around according to this ranking. There we go.
I'm glad it's not just me.
Yeah, but so far I haven't put my previously number
you-
one episode at 25.
That's true. That is very true. So,
What do you got at 21?
21 is Rimmerworld
Ah.
from Series 6. This is the whole wormhole one where Rimmer gets stuck on one end and I think I'm right in saying ages by... Oh, no, yeah, 600 years after Rimmer's arrived. That's right. And then he's got loads of Rimmer clones. I think I remember we joked about like the scientific remits of this because wasn't it when they passed through, they hadn't aged or something? We had that big discrepancy about it. And of a sci-fi comedy, who really cares that much?
And
but, you know...
Let's be honest, we're not wormhole scientists. We don't know what we're talking about.
As much as sci-fi fans like to think we're, you know, the forefront authority in real science, it's just not true. But yeah, I remember liking a lot of this, I think. Like that whole concept and the Rimmer clones and all that. So,
yep.
Yeah.
You gave this one a 7 out of 10 originally.
String of sevens, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're getting through. We're getting through.
Yeah.
Better that they come now.
Yeah. I gave 21 to White Hole.
From Series 4.
Which, if my memory is serving me, is the one where they upgrade Holly and
she has a big
IQ, but it lessens her lifespan, so she shuts everything down, including life support, to preserve her life. Yeah, it was good. Talkie Toaster's in it. I mean, gotta love Talkie Toaster.
It's got to be in the top half of the list if it has Talkie Toaster.
Yeah, it's a rule. It has to be.
Absolutely.
So
Good
that's my 21st. What's your 20th?
Ooh, top 20. My 20th is Confidence and Paranoia.
Okay.
Really love Confidence and Paranoia as characters. I think this was the episode when they have the space fight, you know, and he defeats Confidence. I think they do that outside.
On the outside,
ship.
they're on like the little gangway type thing.
I'm certain that's this episode.
They where he defeats him by convincing him to take his... Well, no, he takes his helmet off. He doesn't convince him to.
Yeah.
And his head explodes. Confidence's head explodes.
Yeah, I just... for Series 1, I remember really digging like how that was shot as well and how they filmed it against like the big model structure of the ship and that. So, yeah, no, I'm happy putting... It's not in terms of Series 1, Phil, I have one episode left of Series 1 before I close off on that.
Ooh, there we go. I've got, this is 4.5 you gave this originally, so equivalent, I guess,
a 9.
Of 9.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but there were like,
20th.
as I said, there were 10 9s,
There were.
so quite a lot
There was
there.
a few.
Quite a lot there.
And your 20th?
My 20th is Future Echoes.
Wow, so you put that... I put that down at... It was 45 for me.
God, that's a big difference, isn't it?
It is. How come so high then?
Difference. I like timey-wimey stuff. I think I kind of have fond memories of like the way it was filmed. It was really cleverly filmed, like the stuff where Rimmer is having, like in the drive room, there's the scene where Lister has a confused conversation with Rimmer, and then he has the same conversation with Rimmer. It's like Rimmer's talking to somebody who's not there, but that's him later on. And I just thought it was quite clever.
Fair enough. Very good, very good. Difference of opinion, eh?
Yeah. What did I give it originally? Oh, I didn't actually give it a good score, though, originally. My memory is clearly playing tricks on me and how much I liked the episode, because I gave it... it was when we were doing the 5 out of 5 scale. I gave it a 3 out of 5, which...
So about
kind
a
of
6 out of 10.
But maybe I would have given it more if we'd been doing it out of 10. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
It is. Big jump there. I think that's probably the biggest gap we've had so far between stories, I think.
Yeah, possibly.
25 places, I'm certain it is, yeah. Well, cracking on to 19, it's White Hole, which is only a few places above where you put it. But yeah, I love all the making Holly smart, but then she's running out of time. Talkie Toaster, just Yeah, I mean, it's Talkie to. We need more Talkie Toaster. There better be some in the Dave era, Phil, or I'll be very disappointed.
You'll have to wait and see.
Did I give Whitehole a good score? I'd like to think I gave that at least an 8.
You didn't give it an 8.
Oh,
you gave it not far off. You gave it a 7.5.
All right. Okay, 7.5. I'll take that. And your 19th?
My 19th is The End, the very first episode of Red Dwarf. Yeah, Series 1, Episode 1. It was a really good, solid start to the show. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
There's just episodes which I have, I guess, fonder memories of since. Whether or not... Yeah, I mean, this whole middle part of the list I struggled with so much. I kept on moving stuff around. The End was a lot higher up at one point, and then I was like, yeah, but I really like that bit of another episode, and so I kept on moving it around, and so it's been in multiple places on this list as I was trying to put it together. So, if you asked me in 2 months' time, it might be in a completely different place, but at the moment, it's at 19.
Did we give The End a 4 out, or did you give it a 4 out of 5 originally?
I think I might have done. Let me see. I might have done. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
Oh, so 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Roughly.
On to 18. What did you
On to 18. I have put Crichton, Series 2, Episode 1. Obviously, Robert Llewellyn is more synonymous with it, and you could argue he does the role much better, but I thought this other actor's stab at it was... It got me introduced to the character of Crichton, and I was here for it, so that's a good job. The Neighbours parody, obvious brownie points there. The setup on the ship, you already touched on it, like when Rimmer's telling Lister to really big him up, and then he just bigs him up to Crichton. Great stuff. So yeah, a good start to Series 2, I think. So yeah, happy to have Crichton at 18. And I think I might have given that like an 8 at the time, maybe?
You did, you gave it an 8.
Solid episode. And your 18?
I gave the 18th position to Stoke Me a Clipper.
Oh, Series 7.
Series 7, the return of Ace Rimmer. I love a bit of Ace Rimmer. Who doesn't love a bit of Ace Rimmer?
Yeah.
I think I ranked it. I think I gave it a good score at the time. This was one of my highest actual rated episodes. So this is one of my 5 9.5s.
And you've got it down at 18.
I've got it down at 18. I mean, it's not as bad as your 25 compared to 9.5.
Come on.
But it's yeah, but that is quite a discrepancy, really. But there you go.
Yeah,
I definitely have episodes I gave a lower score to at the time, much higher up on this list. So,
yes. Well, to 17, I've given it. I think this will be another fairly sizable gap because you've mentioned this episode. I've given 17 to Blue.
Oh yes, I had that at 34.
So 17 difference. Well, I love that. Obviously, the song at the end. Great stuff. Who doesn't love a bit of the... It's Arnold. I always remember you mentioned the Yul Brynner line. That's a good line. Was it he does not look like Yul Brynner or something like that?
Yes. Arnold, River.
Is it he's such a fantastic swimmer? Or something?
Something about Yul Brynner.
I'll have to re-listen
he's
to it.
Not
but yeah.
bald, and his head doesn't shimmer.
Oh yeah, Yul Brynner. Great line. I think you're going to say this is one of my lowest rated ones, but in hindsight, looking back at it and like the story and all that sort of stuff, maybe I was a bit too harsh on this first time around because I don't think it's really that bad.
Yeah, it is one of your lower rated ones. You gave it a 6.5 out of 10. And I gave it a 7 out of 10. So we've again swapped around. I gave it a higher score, but put it lower on my ranking here.
Yeah. Looking back, I might have not enjoyed it at the time. I'll have to double check the episode, but looking back, I quite like the whole Lister missing Rimmer thing and how it's played out, both for like the little serious bits and also for laughs as well. So yeah, I'm even if it's lowest rated back then, I'm confident putting it at 17 here. Why not? What about your 17?
My 17 is Stasis Leak.
Oh, that's another. Where did I put that? That's another. I put that at 41.
Wow, what a difference!
So that's a 24 gap.
Yeah, Series 2.
Why so high then?
I think I don't know. I really liked the concept of it, and I think there were bits I didn't like. Cat going on about what is it? I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I did give it a good score, though. Let me see.
This is where it gets interesting in the list.
Yeah.
all these big jumps.
Okay, I gave it an 8 out of 10. So actually I didn't give it a bad score at the time either. Yeah. I liked it. What can I say?
Yeah.
I liked it.
No complaints there.
More than you did.
You certainly did. So 16th, I gave this to Back to Reality, the Series 5 finale. I love the sort of twist reveal we get in this, because of course this is where they wake up to find that they're not who they think they are. You know, Red Dwarf, Starbug, they don't exist. They've been playing virtual reality all this time. I remember saying at the time, I'm confident it was a great twist. Like, it's a really cool, interesting twist all this time. And there is the bit before that, of course, where they go down to the Esperanto and they get the attack from. They're trying to avoid the wonderfully named Despair Squid. Great name for something. But I think I rated this one quite highly.
You did. It was one of your 9 out of 10s.
Yes, but do you know what? When we get to the rest of the 15 I've got left, I'm confident putting this here. But I think it was one of those I enjoyed it the most in the moment, the first time seeing it, because it's the same thing with twists, isn't it? It'll always be the best the first time you experience it.
Yes.
Even when you're recollecting it, it's not going to be. You're not going to get that same thrill. But no, I'm happy with Back to Reality at 16th. And yours, Phil?
My 16th is another thing involving augmented reality of some kind, Better Than Life. From Series 2.
Yes, yeah. Which I think the first time we mess around with augmented realities, and I think, is that the first time they go off the ship as well?
Well, they don't. Well, we see. Well, they're not really off
like
the
different
ship,
sets or
yeah,
locations.
Different sets
well,
or
yeah,
locations,
that's what I meant.
yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It might be, yeah. Because I don't think they do at all in Series 1.
And then first episode's Crichton. Oh, I guess they go off the ship. But
yeah,
they go to like an Earth setting via augmented reality.
Yeah, they do some location recording.
That's the word, yeah.
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 So I gave that one an 8 out of 10 originally. So, yeah, about the right sort of place on the list.
Yeah,
I guess.
The right sort of area.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, on to 15. I'm closing off another series with this placement. I've given it to The End, the very first episode, which closes off Series 1. Like you said, a really great first episode, sets up the characters, what's going on wonderfully. It got me interested as a first-time viewer, so it absolutely meets its job there. And there are 14 more episodes, in my opinion, that are better, but it's definitely the strongest of Series 1, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I agree, actually. I didn't mention it at the time, but I think The End was my highest rated from Series 1 at 19. I don't think I've got anything higher from Series 1 there. So yeah, that I agree. That is my highest rated of Series 1. Starting strong.
Starting strong. And your 15th?
My 15th is hold on, I've gotten a bit confused with my numbers.
Oh,
have I missed one somewhere? Oh, you know what? I missed one.
Oh, no worries.
I missed one. I got my numbers in a mix. So I'm going to insert one back earlier into the podcast. So at 17, I actually had Queeg from Series 2.
Queeg, yes.
Yeah. I think I said Stasis League, didn't I? But it was Queeg.
Yes, yeah.
And then Stasis League is 16 instead.
Right.
So shift everything down. Queeg, I love it. Was a great Holly episode. And I love a bit of Holly. And the guy that played Queeg was great too.
He was.
Top episode.
Very good.
I think I might have given this really quite high originally as well. Okay, not as high as I remembered, as I thought. I gave it an 8 out of 10 originally, which is, again, it's about the right placing for on this list for Queeg. So then for 15, it's Better Than Life. So I've already talked about that. So what's your 14th?
My 14th is Out of Time, the Series 6 finale. Just a really strong one, if I remember. I love the sort of cliffhanger ending we get, even though it's easy for me to say. I didn't have to wait 4 years to find out what happened next. But the big Red Dwarf drought of the mid-90s. But no, I just thought this was a really, really strong finale, if memory serves. Everything about it was fine. It's everything only the good should have been or could have been and just wasn't. Yeah, No, just that's all I say. Very strong finale. Definitely one of the best finales. I think I'll have a quick scan, but I think, Phil. Oh, it's my second highest finale on this list. There's one more finale I haven't mentioned, but yeah, very strong.
You gave this a 7.5 originally.
Did I really? I remember it being a lot better. Maybe I'm just thinking of the cliffhanger too much, but yeah, no, I'll stick to that. I'll stay 14th.
I gave position 14 to Demons and Angels, which you have already talked about. I gave it a high score originally, 8.5 out of 10.
Yes, 15 places above my placement of Demons and Angels.
What have you got for 13?
Lucky 13. Queeg. Loved Queeg. Loved the actor
not that
who played
much difference
Queeg.
to what I placed.
No. Loved the banter between him and Holly, the chess match they have and all that sort of stuff. Really strong supporting character. One of the first few like best supporting characters we get, I think. He hasn't come back yet. Hopefully that changes in the Dave era, but we'll see. And your lucky 30. Oh, sorry. What did I score, Queeg?
You gave it a 9 out of 10, so it was one of your sort of joints. Your
good.
10
So my
second places.
My scores are starting to finally match. That's good. What about your lucky 13?
It might actually 13 is my lucky number. Not only is it my birthday, I used to live in 13, house number 13 on a road when I was growing up. I used to be bizarrely 13th down in my school register, which I knew because they issued the textbooks in order of the register, and I got book number 13. So lots of 13s going on.
Works in your favour.
Yes, and I've given this lucky position to Legion, which is a lot higher than you gave it, actually, I think. You gave it
9 places higher.
Yeah, 22, didn't you?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, so you liked it a lot more than me then?
I guess so. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but there was a lot I did like about it. I gave it a really high score, actually. It was one of my 9.5. So actually, it's joint first in terms of scoring. I gave 5 episodes 9.5, and so it's one of those ones. And yeah, I really liked it, but it's hasn't maintained quite that top spot that my scoring would indicate.
You think if you watched it right now, it'd probably be a bit lower?
Yeah, maybe in relation to now I've got a better memory of the rest of the series.
Yeah. Well, number 12 for me is Hollow Ship, which you mentioned. Yep. Just really strong season opener, series 5. Love all the stuff Rimmer gets to do. Obviously the comedy scene, what was it? He needs to have sex twice a day, or that's what they all do on the ship. And just overall a really strong episode. Great opener. Big up.
You gave this 8 out of 10.
Okay, I thought I might have given it 9. Okay, fair enough. 8 out of 10. I'll take that. It's fairly solid. Decent. And your 12th?
My 12 is Riverworld.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Series 6,
I gave that 21st.
5.
So yeah.
It's not my last Series 6 episode. Still got some more to come on those. But yeah, it was good episode. You've explained why already.
This is when we cross it when someone said it once. You're just like, just echo what they said. One I might have a bit more to say on is this one, because this will be quite a gap. My 11th is Backwards.
Oh, that is a massive gap from my.
Where did you put Backwards?
I put Backwards really far down. I put it 47th.
36 place difference.
Wow.
I really like. I just really liked it. So we're starting a season off world, if you like, not on Red Dwarf. I always like those early episodes where they do that. I thought they did the Backwards stuff really well. Like, it's shot really well. It's done really well. The commitment to the world, how literally everything is backwards, is done really well. And I just found it a lot of fun. And but this was the episode where you said maybe it's because you've seen the gimmick so many times that it's, whereas for me, very first time, it's, maybe if we did this list again in a year or so, it would go further down. But yeah, Backwards is my 11th place.
Yeah, you gave it 8 out of 10 originally.
All right, fairly strong. I thought it might have been a 9, but that's fine. 8's fine. And your 11th then?
My 11th is the final Series 8 episode on this list, Cassandra, which is wildly different to what you gave it. I think, where did you put it?
I put Cassandra at 44.
Wow, see, that's a massive gap too, isn't it?
That is 33 places.
There we go.
So what do you really like about Cassandra then?
I just remember I say it like it's ages ago. I mean, looking back at what I gave it as a score, I only gave it 8 out of 10. It's not like it was a 9 or a 9.5, but I just really like the concept. It kind of felt a bit like it was a Series 6 episode in kind of its feel and its tone and everything. Take away the beginning where they're in the prison and they're sent on the mission as the Canaries, and it could easily just be, they're finding a derelict. They could have been out in Starbuck and found a derelict. It could have fit in as a Series 6 episode. And I thought it was quite cleverly done. Or maybe it's just my residual guilt for mistaking the actress for Zoe Wanamaker, so I'm putting it higher to make up for it.
Yeah. Oh, well, hey, let's see if the gaps continue. We're entering the top 10, Phil. The top 10. So, in 10th place for me is Emo Hawk, Polymorph 2 from Series 6. I remember before we watched this, I was worried that, because I think this is the first time we get like a recurring villain, if you like. That you know what I mean? Like a title that's like it's a sequel. It's called Polymorph 2. I was worried that it wasn't going to live up to how much I enjoyed the first Polymorph. So this is the one where they enter Gelf space, and then it's the whole thing with the chieftain's daughter and trying to par him off with Lister. And I thought the Emo Hawk, the Polymorph 2, was just a really cool concept.
This is interesting because
oh no,
you gave this 6.5.
Did I really?
Yeah. And
it's in the top 10.
And I remember because I've been listening back to the last few that bit of the podcast where I get the thing, and I remember listening to that one and you going, "Yeah, I really didn't like this episode."
Oh no! Honestly, when I went back, I remembered the bit in in the Gelf village, if you like. I remembered all that, and in my head, I was like, "Yeah, that was really funny."
Yeah,
but maybe I didn't think it was.
It's great.
Wow.
It's amazing how our own brains can play tricks on us, maybe you've reassessed it since then. It'd be interesting to see if you watched it again, how much you enjoyed it. That would be really.
Do you know what? Out of all the ones we've done so far, now that's the one I think I want to watch again. See if I give it a 6.5. Maybe I was being really harsh on it because right in this right in this list, I was like, yeah, Polymorph 2, really enjoyed that. Wow.
There we go.
Is that all my 6.5s now?
Let me have a look.
Please tell me it is, otherwise this is just going to get more embarrassing as we go along.
Only the Good, you've already put that on there, haven't you?
Yes.
Blue, Emo Hawk 2.
Yep.
Thanks for the memory. Yep, that's all your 6.5s.
Oh, thank God for that. Sorry, folks. 6.5 in the top 10. What a crime.
You're fairly safe now.
I'm fairly safe.
My 10 is also Emo Hawk. We've matched again.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
But did you enjoy this a lot more than I did when we watched it?
Yeah, I believe I did. Yeah. I gave it a 7.5, so it's not like I think I've pushed it up a bit more in this ranking, a bit like you did, but just I've not. There's not as much of a gap from what I ranked it as where I've put it than what I rated it. But yeah, no, I like this episode. Having the polymorph again, having the Gelfs, felt like they were world building quite a bit, which I quite liked.
Yeah, you get a lot of recurring. Maybe that's why I'm thinking it was good, because you do get more like recurring world building elements, and I like that in sci-fi. Even though this is a comedy, I do like it when they decide to build on it and not just ignore it.
Yeah,
so maybe that was what it was.
What have you got in position number 9?
Position number 9, I'm closing off another series. It's Better Than Life from Series 2, so that's all my Series 2. I do think this was the best episode of Series 2 when I was going back in hindsight with this. It was between this and Queeg for this placement, but I decided to go with this. I think just because, first time we see like on location work, the actors are all on top form, living in this simulation. And yeah, you've already touched on it, but yeah, I think it's cracking.
Yeah, it's a good episode. I'm now, since we've watched that and reviewed that, we've read the first novel, and I think you've read the second one, but we haven't reviewed it yet.
I have.
And I've just started the second one. And I think, because they deal with Better Than Life in that novel in a very different way. And
oh God, when you read it, they could have not done in 1988 what the book is described.
They definitely couldn't have done. But I wish
they couldn't have done it well.
Because I love it.
If they adapted it now, If they adapted it now, absolutely. Make it, have a remake. Why not?
Yeah.
Just make it, or they go back in Better Than Life and it's been upgraded or something. Make it happen.
Yeah,
Really
I
good.
mean, stay tuned because we will be having our review of the first
We
novel
shall.
soon, and the second novel once I finished reading it and we've managed to record a review of it. But the first one will be
Absolutely.
coming very soon, in the next few weeks, in fact. So stay tuned for that. Yeah. So
your number 9.
my number 9 is Polymorph. So you got the 2 Polymorph episodes
Ah.
right next to each other in this list for me. They're the ones that they often are the ones that fans think of when they think, oh, what's the classic Red Dwarf episodes? It's the ones with the polymorphs.
Yeah.
I just like this one slightly better than the other Polymorph episode.
Yes. Yeah.
Not much in it, but it's just a little bit better, I think. And I think I'm right in thinking that this is the one with the trousers scene, the shorts, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think
which
so.
I cracked up at absolutely when when Crichton's trying to pull the polymorph shorts that are constantly shrinking off of. Yeah,
Yes,
it was hilarious.
A classic.
Absolute classic.
Nicely tied, because my number 8 is Polymorph.
Ah, there we go.
I think when we watched this at the time, this was one of like my absolute favourites, only going off series 1, 2, and that half of 3. I remember thinking it was really strong. And it is strong. Obviously, it's the original Polymorph episode, so I think it's naturally going to be better than the sequel, because sequels are often not as good at, continuing that on. And just like I said, the short scene is timeless Red Dwarf, and just a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff in there. I love the polymorph design as well in this episode. That big plus for me. And I think I gave this a 9.
Yeah, you gave it a 9.
Oh, good. So, yeah, really strong. So that's my number 8.
My number 8 is the Inquisitor from Series 5.
Wow, that's a
big difference, isn't it?
That was number 8. I put the Inquisitor at 42.
Oh!
That's 34 placed. Oh, okay, so what did you really dig about it that I clearly didn't then?
No, well, I'm not sure. It was just kind of a feeling when I was putting these episodes in order, and I was like, yeah, I vaguely remember really enjoying that episode. So,
does your score reflect that?
well, yeah. I mean, it's maybe a little bit higher than my score would have reflected. I think I gave it an 8 out of 10. So,
okay, all right.
It's maybe a little higher than my score at the time would have reflected, but not hideously amounts more.
Yeah, these jumps, man, they keep getting bigger.
Yeah.
Right, number 7. It's Dimension Jump.
Yeah.
The introduction of good old Ace Rimmer, and I mean, who doesn't love Ace Rimmer? It's just he's a wonderful character, and obviously it's not the last we see of him, which is great. And I just think it's just really fun for that. He makes it even more fun than Red Dwarf already is. So that's all I want to say on it. And I hope I rated this quite highly, because I think I really enjoyed this one.
You gave this one an 8 out of 10.
I'll take an 8.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Looking back at it, I'd have to watch it again. But when I was putting this list together, I was like, Dimensional. That was one of the easiest top 10 placements I made for this list in my head. So, yeah. And your 7?
My 7 is Out of Time.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So 7 places above me.
Despite the fact that it then made me wait 4 years for the next episode on a cliffhanger.
Not bitter about that
not
whatsoever.
bitter about that at all. I really enjoyed this episode. I think it was quite highly rated when I gave it a 9 out of 10 originally. So it has, again, I love a timey-wimey plot, and it's got future versions. I do love my timey-wimey. It's got future versions of our crew and time travel and paradoxes, and love it.
All that good stuff. Well, we're on number 6 now, getting there. So number 6 for me is Stoke Me a Clipper from Series 7, another Ace Rimmer. I love this return here, and I think it was one of those Series 7 episodes I really liked because it felt more cinematic, and I know that was a thing they were trying out, trying to film it in a more cinematic way, give it a bit more scope. Like I love the opening, like a World War II movie where he's parachuting down and he's beating up Nazis and riding down on a crocodile and all that. So I love it. And obviously Chris Barry is phenomenal, and I love seeing him play Ace again. So yeah, easy choice for me that, and I'm certain I rated that quite highly.
You did 8.5. So and your in terms of this and Dimension Jump, your scores also reflect the order you put them in. You put Dimension Jump at 8, and you ranked Dimension Jump lower here. So Stoke Me a Clipper is your favorite Ace Rimmer episode. More
Absolutely.
Than Dimension Jump then.
It's a great introduction, but yeah, Stoke Me a Clipper just does that. It's a perfect continuation and return of that character. And yeah, and what's your 6, Phil?
My 6 is, I think, my highest rated Series 5 episode. Oh, no, that's a lie. It's not. Forget that. But it is Back to Reality. And so that's Series 5, Episode 6. You've already mentioned it.
I did.
Yeah, really good episode.
It is. You put it 10 places higher than me.
Yeah.
Well, number 5. Closing off yet, and we'll be doing that. All the last 5, obviously, each of mine, don't know about you, each of these 5 are from different series.
Oh, interesting.
And obviously they're all closing off that
so
respective
are mine,
series.
Actually. Yeah. Mine are too.
So, number 5 is Tika to Ride, which I know you put. Where did you put that?
I put that
quite
kind of somewhere in the middle. 23.
Yeah. Okay. 18 difference then. I loved this episode. I remember thinking, again, another one of these where it wants to be more cinematic, like you said, more dramatic as well, less of the comedy. And I just thought I really liked that tone. I remember digging like the whole JFK stuff as well. I thought that was really well done. Obviously the rest of Series 7, it doesn't completely follow that all the way through. They sort of do it for like the first 3 or 4 episodes, and then it sort of goes back to, I guess, standard Red Dwarf stuff, which is great. But yeah, I really dug that approach, and I wished that they'd had maybe the budget or whatever to carry on with it. But no, I loved it.
You gave this a 9 out of 10, so it's in the right sort of area of the list for matching that.
And on this list, this is my highest rated. That's Series 7. That's Series 7 done. So what about you, Phil? Top 5, number 5.
Number 5, one, which is a sore point for you now, Parallel Universe.
Oh, no. Oh, sugar.
Yes, I put it...
Which you've put 20 places above
20
me.
places above you, despite the fact that it was your highest rated episode. It was one of my highest rated as well. I put it, I think it was one of my 9.5s, one of my 5 9.5s originally.
I've just realised, do you know why I think I gave it a 9.5? It's only just popped in my head. That's because that's the episode where we get to listen to Tongue Tied.
Oh, so you get
I've just clicked that in my head. I'm like, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense.
I think that's probably a large part of like why I like it.
If I had clocked that when I was putting this list together, it wouldn't have been number 25. But hey, we've got to stick with it. Sticking with it. But okay, yeah. So you're putting that number 5 then,
I am.
Parallel Universe.
Number 5, Parallel Universe. What you got at number 4?
Gunman of the Apocalypse from Series 6.
Nice.
Really strong episode. Love, obviously, all like the Wild West pastiches that they throw in. Go and watch the episode if you haven't seen it, and watch our review as well. It's a very, very good episode of Red Dwarf. One of the best on-location episodes as well.
So, interestingly, you didn't give this isn't one of your 9 out of 10s. It's an 8.5.
Is this an 8? Oh, an 8.5?
An 8.5,
right, okay.
So not far off, but it's not one of the 10 9s. So it's obviously gone up in your estimation since.
It definitely has. And your number 4?
My number 4 is my highest rated Series 3 episode, Marooned.
Oh, I love Marooned.
I don't think you've mentioned Marooned yet, have you?
Funny you mentioned that. But it's a cracking story, though.
It is, absolutely. What did I originally rate it? I think I must have rated it quite high. Well, actually, not that high. 8 out of 10 originally. So
okay.
It's gone up in my estimation since in just my memory then.
It's a cracking episode, though. Lovely, like, mostly two-hander. Great stuff. Well, Gunman of the Apocalypse closed off Series 6 for me at number 4. Number 3, following you now, is Marooned, closing off Series 3. I just love it. I mean, being an actor anyway, I love seeing good two-hander material when it's done well. And when they get marooned, I think it's just great watching them interact, like trying to figure out what to do, it's wonderful. It's just great. I love it.
Yeah.
So
it's gone up in my estimation. It also must have gone up in your estimation as well, because you originally gave this a 7.5.
oh my goodness, a 7.5 at number 3.
Yeah.
No, when I compiled this list, I remembered all the two-hander stuff, and I loved that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sticking with it. Go Marooned. And what about your number 3? Who's taking your bronze medal today?
My number 3 is closing out series 4 for me, and it's Dimension Jump.
Ah, nice.
So I just slightly preferred this Ace episode over the other one, which I put a few back. They're both great, and I love Ace. It was a great introduction to him. Seeing him in his own original universe in those opening bits was nice. Like that.
It is.
I think I must have given this quite a high score. Sure. Watch me now. Find out that I gave it. I did. I've just done what you've just done. I gave this a 7.5 originally.
So it's not just me
not
then.
Just you. There we go.
Wow. So we both gave our third place a 7.5. Look at that.
I now need to see if I actually gave Well, there we go. Clearly my memory,
folks, we told you this was going to happen. It's happened several times.
I gave Stoke Me a Clipper a 9.5. So
wow. What? And where did you
and
put that on the list?
put that on the list at 18.
Oh goodness.
So
15 difference.
Yeah, maybe I'm getting my aces confused in my head, and I don't know. There we go.
I mean, an ace rimmer full stop at number 3. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So my number 2, this is going to be the biggest gap, Phil.
Oh, it's something I put really low.
You said this very early on, and when you said it, I went like, oh. I was like, right, okay. My number 2, closing off series 4, is Meltdown.
Oh.
I loved Meltdown. I'm hoping the score reflects it, but I love the concept. I like the battle that they have, how ridiculous it is, all the different characters. Just this was, bar my number 1 choice, this was the episode that also stuck the clearest in reading the title. I was like, yeah, it's that one.
Oh wow.
I clearly remember.
Well, you did give it a 9 out of 10, so that's it. I put it at number 40. So
a 38 difference.
Yeah,
oh.
What a difference.
What did you say you didn't like about this one then?
You know what? I can't remember. It's hard putting these rankings together when you. It's like you watched this episode a year ago and.
Yeah.
And you got so many
episodes. This was an easy choice for me. I was like, yeah, it's got to be in the top 5 at least. So yeah, that's my number 2. And what about your number 2?
My number 2 is Gunman of the Apocalypse.
Oh, so 2 places.
So I
above.
think we've got
Very
the same
nice.
number 1.
I think
this
we
closes
do,
out.
yeah.
This closes out series 6 for me. It's my highest ranked series 6 episode, and it's such a good episode. I think this is the only time. Me and you have never scored anything a 10, but our guest that came on this and reviewed this with us scored this a 10.
They did. Yes.
10 out of 10.
They loved it, didn't they?
From our
Couldn't get
guest.
enough of that.
I think I gave it a 9.5. Yeah, I gave it a 9.5. So
well, after number 1,
and we both
well,
we'll say now we both have
said,
the same thing.
Yes,
because it's the only thing left.
But you know what? I think it deserves to be there. Quite frankly, I think.
Yeah.
Number 1 for both of us is Quarantine from series 5. Where do we start with Quarantine, Phil?
It's so good.
It's just, the comedy. Oh god, the penguin and the gingham dress.
King of the potato people.
That's the king. Oh, just
Mr. Fibbles.
Chris Barry's best performance
yes.
of what I've seen so far. You might say the whole show, I'm not sure, but definitely what I've seen so far, that's his best performance in all 8 series.
Absolutely.
I also think maybe I enjoyed it even more because when we watched it, we were still going through a quarantine of sorts at the time.
Yes.
So I think it resonated with us all that little bit more. But I think even if we didn't go through all that, I'd probably still rate this top 5 at least.
Yeah.
Definitely. But
you gave it a 9 out of 10 originally.
That checks out. Did you give it a 9.5?
I gave it a 9.5, yeah.
Yeah. to be honest, Phil, for a while when I was drafting this, it was between this and Meltdown. It really was for a time. But then I remembered some of those great quotes and some of those great scenes. And I was like, it's got to be Quarantine.
Like I said, for me, the bottom two were instantly there. Cried to TV and Body Swap were instantly at the bottom.
Swap, yeah.
And Quarantine and Gunman and the Apocalypse were instantly at the top for me. I knew those before I even started writing anything.
Yeah. I was same as you. Bottom two straight there. Top two debated for a bit, but then that settled quickly. The top 10 for me actually was the easiest part of this list. Like I say, it was the middle. The middle was the tricky bit.
It's difficult.
But yeah, well so we had the same worst ranking and the same winner.
Yeah,
but a very different
middle. With a couple of
number two.
There were a couple we matched on exactly in the middle, which is very surprising. Like Emo Hawk, we both put in number 10, didn't we?
We did.
And there was one more. What was the other one?
Thanks for the memory at 32 of all episodes. Well, there you go, folks. That is our ranking of every episode of Red Dwarf we've done on this show.
This is now probably our longest episode of the podcast ever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, after the edit, it might be. Yeah, it definitely will be. Absolutely. But we hope you've enjoyed it. If you like ranking stuff, I hope you certainly enjoy it. And the differences we have, I think the biggest gap was definitely the Meltdown one, 38 places.
Yeah.
I mean, number 40 and number 2. That's a very different,
very different score, isn't it? Yeah.
But no, this has been fun.
It has.
This has been good.
Once we've gone through the Dave era, we'll do the same for the Dave era.
Oh, yes. I thought you could say it, and then we'll do it for everything.
We could do. That would be a very long podcast.
That would be that might have to be a live stream if we set aside a full evening. Like, yeah. We'd need a full. It'd be like watching Eurovision. It'd be like 3 hours long. Get all your votes in.
Yeah, maybe we could do that. Maybe we could do a tier ranking or something, and
that'd be good.
Yeah, maybe. Let us know what you think, and let us know. Go onto my YouTube channel, Philip Hawkins. And find our podcast, this podcast on there if you're listening to it on audio only, and comment below, because that's the only way you can really comment on an individual episode, and tell us your list. And you can do the whole list, or you can do your top 10. You could just tell us your top 5 and your bottom 5. Whatever way you want to do it, just let us know roughly where you would rank these episodes and how wrong we got it, according to you.
Yes, how much we've disgraced the Red Dwarf fandom. But yeah, it's been really fun. We hope you guys have enjoyed listening as well. And as Phil said earlier, keep your eyes open. We've got a few more specials coming, haven't we? Like, we're going to review the Infinity Welcomes Careful Drivers book.
Yep.
And other bits and pieces as well. But don't worry, we will move on to the Dave era with Back to Earth. And we'll go on from there. But yeah, Phil, so before we go then, where can the good people find you and your work?
Best to go to Philip Hawkins' YouTube channel. That's the best place. As I said, you can comment on this podcast there if you're listening on the audio only, but you can also find me on Twitter @CultureFilter, but filter spelled PHILTER, because my name's Phil.
His name's Phil. And for my work, it's just Adam Martyn on YouTube with a Y for Martyn. And then on Twitter, it's Adam Martyn AMTV. We also have a Twitter for this podcast, @AllDeadDavePod. Follow us there for updates on these specials we've got coming up and the show in general. And if you want to buy any merchandise that we have, any T-shirts, any mugs, etc., you can go and do that. There'll be a link in the description of this video. And also let us know that you can leave us your full lists if you want. That'd be a long comment, but maybe tell us what was your top episode and worst episode?
Yeah, it's probably simpler. I mean, by all means, leave your full list if you want to. If you want to type it all out,
if you want to go through that, if you want to type all that out, then you be our guest.
But you could just be your top and your bottom.
You could just do that, but we'd like to hear what you lot think as well. And can't believe we got that. That was an experience, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Feels weird. How do we close this one off?
Well,
it's not like our normal reviews.
We'll be back for more specials. I'm not sure what order the specials are going to come out in, but we're going to, like Adam said, we're going to be reviewing Infinity Welcomes Careful Drivers and doing a few other specials and things like that. So before we head on into the Dave era, so just keep listening. We'll be here most Tuesdays, other than the occasional week or 2 week break we have to catch up on our recording.
Life's getting back to normal, folks. It's not as easy now.
Yeah.
It's not...
So I guess we'll see you next time.
We shall.
Goodbye.
See you later.